Eminence, Edwin Cardinal O'Brien.
Thank you. I'm kind of humbled by that introduction, but I'm grateful, and I think the impression I have made on your good bishop is an impression he is making on many of you, and for that I take great pleasure. And you look around, you say, what have I done in my life? And when I see young priests and bishops as zealous and as caring for the flock as I have seen, it's a great consolation. It's the only reason I'm here, because of Bishop Aitken. He asked me about a year ago. I knew my schedule would be a little bit tight, but we did it. A brief word about my job. I don't own a horse. It's the Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre. I've never ridden a horse.
We can get you on one here.
I don't want a horse. But in 1847, Pope Pius IX, very concerned about the drift of the Church in the Holy Land, as every pope has been since the very beginning, decided to form this Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre, and he was the Grand Master of the order. And the purpose was to support Christians in the Holy Land. The Holy Land, we speak of Jerusalem, the West Bank, which we call Palestinian territory now, Jordan, and a few other places around, but they're the main ones. We have short of 2% Christians there, and I speak Christians in general, not just Catholics. It's wonderful to see the collaboration between Christians of all kinds. We keep our doctrine, but there's no question that we have a common purpose in keeping Christ's life alive in the land where he walked. In 1950, there were 10% Christians, and they're fleeing as fast as they can because of the pressures being placed on them by the Israeli government, primarily, and the general turbulence in the Middle East, of which we are all too aware. And so that was the start of the Holy Order of the Holy Sepulchre. In 1948, when things really got tough, when the partition took place, Palestine and Israel, Pius XII decided to step back a bit and to appoint his own representative in Rome, who would be responsible for alerting the general population of Catholics and others throughout the world of the needs of the Holy Land. And so he created a Grand Master, who was always a cardinal. And I assumed that position about 4 years ago after leaving, very sadly, my tenure as Archbishop of Baltimore. We have 30,000 members around the world in 35 countries, Western Europe and North America especially, but other places as well. We give about $13 million to the Patriarch of Jerusalem. He's the bishop of that Holy Land, to keep his 45 schools going, and many of them are majority not Christian. They're Muslim, to keep his 60 parishes alive, and many charitable institutions. Our members are wonderful, and they are exhorted not only to be generous in donating funds, but also to make a pilgrimage at least once in their lifetime, and many do it every year. The Germans are especially good at that. We have, I think, 9 lieutenancies here in the United States, and our people are very good. I'll be going up to Alaska on on Thursday for an investiture of our new members. And that's really what my main job is. I live and work in Rome, I do. I get to the Holy Land maybe once a year, not to get in the way of the Patriarch. But my main task is to rally the troops and travel the world. I've been to about 22 countries, I guess, in the last 4 years. Just recently, I guess, what was it, Friday and Saturday, I was in Slovenia. And the week before that, I can't keep track, so I have to read it. I was in Denmark and Scotland. And a wonderful human story about Scotland. I met a parish priest there who had just offered Mass for a very elderly lady in her mid-90s in Edinburgh. And she came from the very northern parts, the hinterlands of Scotland. And she wanted to be buried there. But the priest couldn't go, and he couldn't find another deacon or a religious, so he asked a retired player of the bagpipes if he would go up and play something 2-hour trip away. And the gentleman was very, very agreeable, and he went up there and got lost. It was a terrible thing. He'd never been there. And finally he came upon the cemetery, and he enters the cemetery, and he sees the workers sitting out around having their lunch. He sees the big pile of dirt, and obviously he's missed the ceremony. And so he asked them to join him as he played Amazing Grace over that spot. And they did, and there were a lot of tears shed. And as he was getting back into the car, he heard one of the foreman of the whole thing say, "I have never seen so much emotion on the installation of a septic tank." I got you on that one, didn't I? So that's just a little bit of a thumbnail sketch of what we do. We don't play bagpipes over septic tanks, but what we do in this Order of the Holy Sepulchre. And I ask for your prayers for that sacred land, and we know what's going on, and for those who are sticking it out, the poor 1.5% who have no recourse. They can't afford to leave. And the fact that our people are going from all over the world to show solidarity with them is a great sign, a great encouragement to them and to the Patriarch of Jerusalem as well. I'm asked to speak about family and vocations, and I'm not sure if this is going to hit the target. I got back from Rome yesterday to New York and back here today, and a little bit jet lagged, so if I start falling asleep here, I don't mind it if you fall asleep. So I very much expect some of that to happen. There's a great little exhortation. I think it's the third Sunday of Advent in our breviary. And it goes like this, and I refer to this regularly in my own crazy schedule, and all of you are tied up as much as you can be. You just don't have time. And insignificant man, escape from your everyday business for a short while. Hide a moment from your restless thoughts. Break off from your cares and troubles and be less concerned with your tasks and labors. Make a little time for God and rest a while in Him. Enter into your mind's inner chamber. Shut out everything but God and whatever helps you to seek Him. And when you have shut the door, look for Him. Speak now to God and say to Him with your whole heart, I seek your face, O God. Your face, O Lord, I desire. Doesn't take long. A little bit every day. You who are so important in the pastoral work of the church need that setting a time for God and ask the Lord to enter the heart and to enable you to see his face in every face you meet that day, in every challenge that you're confronted with, and in every smile and tear as well. Of course, our Holy Father is coming. Great excitement throughout the country, certainly on the East Coast. And I'd like just to say a word about Pope Francis to begin, because more than any other pope that I know of, he has addressed the reality of family life. He just finished, I think, a 13-week audience addresses on family life. Every aspect. It's just marvelous. I was privileged to be in the conclave. And I was a young cardinal, maybe a year and a half or two, never expected my background to sit in a conclave. I had never heard the name Bergoglio. Before we got together, about 8 days before the conclave began, and all the cardinals are invited to Rome, even the retired cardinals